parts of it that need to be on time, so we'll try and keep us on schedule. Clerk Tara, please get us started.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich opens at 5 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
At this time, we will have our First Nations land acknowledgement. Councillor Dreyfus, if you would do that, please.
We will begin by acknowledging that the land in which we gather in this traditional territory of First Nations people who have long-standing relationships to this land, water, and region of the Southwestern Ontario. We also acknowledge the local lower Thames River watershed communities, which include Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation of Moravian Town. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island, North America. We are thankful for the opportunity to live, learn, and share with mutual respect and appreciation.
Thank you. Does council have any declaration of pecuniary interest? I see none. Clerk Tara, please, adoption of the draft minutes.
Are there any amendments to the last meeting minutes? Then they are adopted as presented.
Thank you. Are there any items not listed on the agenda, Clerk Tara?
Under new business, we have one item, the Baseball Diamond Committee update.
Okay, thank you. We're a little early for drainage issues. They have to be held no earlier than 5:15. So with council's permission, we'll go on to correspondence. And the first one is from AMO, Canada Community Building Fund, the 2022 annual report. Is there any questions or comments on that? I see none. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that correspondence item 7A from the Association of Municipalities Ontario be received and filed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Item B is IESO, the long-term electricity procurement update, the final LT1 RFP posted. Comments or questions on that one? I see none. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Droulard, that correspondence item 7B be received and filed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Item C is the Town of Midland, the catch and release justice in Ontario. Any comments, questions from council? Everybody received their agenda package last Friday, so we've had an opportunity to read all the material. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Droulard, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the Town of Midland requesting the federal and provincial governments make meaningful improvements to the current state of catch and release justice in Ontario legal system. Police services across Ontario are exhausting precious time and resources having to manage the repeated arrests of the same offenders, which in turn is impacting their morale and ultimately law-abiding citizens who are paying the often significant financial and emotional toll of this broken system, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the Town of Midland. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Item D, the Town of Whitechurch, Stouffville, support for Town of Caledon re illegal land use enforcement. Any comments from council on that? I see none. Clerk Tara, resolution, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the Town of Whitechurch, Stouffville, requesting the Province of Ontario to strengthen municipal enforcement powers by amending the Municipal Act to enable municipalities to physically bar entry to properties where illegal land uses that have been significant detrimental impacts on adjacent residential properties, the environment, or create unsafe situations, and increasing the maximum penalty amounts in the Planning Act to $50,000 for an individual upon conviction, and on a subsequent conviction, not more than $25,000 for each day in which the contravention has continued after the day in which the person was initially convicted, and including provisions to ensure a corporation is liable to fines of not more than $100,000 upon first conviction and not more than $50,000 for each day in which the contravention has continued after the day in which the corporation was initially convicted. And that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, the town of Whitchurch, Stouffville, and the town of Caledon. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. Item E is the Town of Aurora Gender-Based and Intimate Partner Violence Epidemic. Anything from council on that? Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Drulard, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the resolution from the town of Aurora and declares gender-based violence and intimate partner violence an epidemic. And further, that council recommends, 1, that gender-based violence and intimate partner violence be declared an epidemic in the province of Ontario. 2, that the Federation of Canadian Municipalities, Association of Municipalities Ontario, and all municipalities and regions in Ontario declare gender-based and intimate partner violence an epidemic across the country. 3, that the provincial and federal government enact the additional 85 recommendations from the inquest into the 2015 murders of Carol Culleton, Anastasia Kuzik, and Natalie Warmerdam in Renfrew County, Ontario, which provide a roadmap to preventing intimate partner violence from escalating to femicide. 4, that the federal government starts enactment by adding the word femicide as a term to the Criminal Code of Canada. And 5, that the provincial and federal governments provide the necessary support to municipalities, regions, and their emergency social services to meaningfully address the gender-based violence and intimate partner violence epidemic, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Rob Flack, MPP, Karen Vecchio, MP, and the town of Aurora. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, I think we can probably deal with a couple of drainage issues, Brent, if you want to come forward. We have 3 items on there, and we can deal with the request for drain improvement on the Keeler drain or the Wallace Street drain. Do you want to speak to that? Sure, okay.
Sorry, just one more resolution. Moved by Drulard, seconded by Pemberton, that relevant correspondence was reviewed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, Tara. She does keep me in line. Go ahead, Brent.
So that request for improvement came from the Shelleys. The last rain we had, their basement flooded and caused significant damage. And he wants better drainage to try to deal with some of this water that's coming. So that's why he submitted that request to improve the Keeler drain.
Okay. Any questions from council?
Is this an ongoing concern?
It's been ongoing. We go back a number of years, probably back 2010, 2012. The municipality put a bigger culvert under Macbeth Street. But his concern is we built Macbeth Street back to the water tower and put a dam in the way for the natural flow. So instead of all the water getting into Wallace-town as quick, he's claiming it's being stopped up at Macbeth Street and flooding him more. So.
Anything further from council? Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich decides to proceed with the Keeler Wallace Street Drain Improvement request under Section 78 of the Drainage Act received from Clarence and Francis Shelley, and instructs the clerk to notify Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority as required under Section 78(2) of the Drainage Act and that an engineer be appointed under the appropriate section of the Drainage Act after the 30-day time period from the notice of council's decision was sent to the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority and OMAFRA has passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And item C is the engineer's report for the Donald Lumley drain.
Yes, the engineer, John Spreet, has presented that to the clerk, and, if council so wishes, we can proceed with a meeting to consider on that drain at some point in the next month or so.
Okay. Any questions from council? Okay, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the engineer's report for the Donald Lumley drain and instructs the clerk to notify everyone required to be notified under section 41 of the Drainage Act of its intention to proceed with the drain, and that council hold a meeting to consider the engineer's report at the council meeting scheduled for October 25th, 2023 at approximately 5 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. We're still a little ahead of schedule. Would you, council's permission, we could deal with some consent correspondence? There's quite a list there. On the consent correspondence, is any one want to talk to any one of the items? And B is the committee reports. Any questions on those? Deputy Mayor Loveland.
Not really questions, but just a couple minor comments I will make. The Elgin Area Primary Water Board at their last meeting set the overall rate for next year. It's up 3.5%, which is what their long-term financial goal was. The one big issue that we probably should be a little bit aware of, it may require that they move up some of the planned capital a little quicker, is the Volkswagen plant. They have no idea what kind of water usage that is looking at, and it may move things on a little bit. They have no final figures on that. Just kind of wanted to fill council in a couple of those items.
Mhm. Was there any capacity concerns in that discussion?
There was some capacity discussion, but again, they're waiting for, they had some very preliminary usage, what they would need if they run the plant at 100% capacity. And it's mostly cooling water and the common, so they did talk very briefly about how much that could be at the most. And it was going to move some of the construction on maybe 7 years closer than we had envisioned. But on the other side, that was a pretty unrealistic expectations for usage. No one uses coolant water once anymore. They run it back through more time. So it's probably going to be a lot less water usage than that. But again, they don't have any idea yet on what the final process is going to be or how much water usage or anything. Everything's still up in the air.
Mhm. Thank you for those comments. Anything else on the committee reports and the monthly staff reports from council? Must be terrific reports. There are no questions or concerns. Okay, Clerk Tara, consent agenda.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And we're just going to sit tight for a minute or two, and then we can deal with the rest of the drainage issues.
While we're waiting, if everybody that's here for the meeting could sign the attendance sheet. It hasn't. Maybe everybody has. I think everybody's here. Yep, Mr. Dealman hasn't signed it. Yeah, talking back to them, right?
Tell me when you're good, Tara. Okay. Back to drainage issues, and item A is a quarter revision. So Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Drillard, that all 5 members of council be appointed to the Court of Revision and that Mayor Mike Hentz be appointed the chair. And further that the regular meeting end to sit as a Court of Revision for the Lucas Drain at 5:15 PM. All in favor? And that's carried. And moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the Court of Revision to hold a public meeting for the Lucas Drain opens at 5:15 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.
What's that? Okay. Do we have to adopt the previous? Okay. Clerk Tara, if we could adopt the previous meeting minutes of September 28th, Court of Revision.
Were there any amendments to the previous meeting minutes? They're adopted as distributed.
Thank you. This is the Court of Revision as required by the Drainage Act to afford any person assessed in the Lucas Drain provisionally adopted by bylaw 2023-52 on September 13, 2023. To make an appeal with respect to their assessments on the grounds of land or road has been assessed too high or too low. Land or road should have been assessed but was not. Due consideration has not been given to the land's use. I would ask that all landowner and interested properties present that are assessed to this drain, please sign the attendance sheet that is being circulated. I think everybody's seen that. Was everyone notified in an appropriate way that are required to be notified under the Drainage Act?
Yes, on Tuesday, September 19th, 2023, all parties required to be notified under Section 46 of the Drainage Act were sent by regular mail or email a copy of the provisional bylaw with a notice of the sitting of this Court of Revision. This notice also informed all landowners of the Drainage Act requirement to notify the clerk in writing of an appeal to the Court of Revision 10 days before the first sitting of the Court of Revision.
Thank you. I will now read the appeal aloud. Oh. Did the clerk receive any appeals in writing 10 days prior to this sitting of the Court of Revision from any assessed landowners?
Yes, we received one appeal on Friday, September 29th, 2023 from Larch Lane Farms for their lands concession 9, part lots 14 and lot 15. The president of the corporation, Mr. Kryn Dealman, stated that their lands were assessed too high and other lands were assessed too low. Mr. Dealman also provided a letter stating his reasons. Yes.
Thank you. I will now read the appeal. It is to the municipality of Dutton Dunwich. Attention, Tara Kretschmer, referring the Lucas Drain from Larch Lane Farms Limited. Can everybody hear okay? Whereas the Larch Lane Farms Limited lands are all sufficiently tiled and drained by the existing Lucas Drain, there would be no benefit to them or need for a new drain. Of the estimated cost for this new drain of $201,028, Larch Lane Farms has been assessed 25% of the estimate, the amount of $50,191. Therefore, we request that the share of Larch Lane Farms Limited be reduced to 10% of the estimated cost, being $20,103. The 15% difference of the estimated cost should be paid by the property owners who requested the drain improvement and will have the benefit of its implied drainage capacity. Signed by Crindleman, President, Larch Lane Farms Limited. I would now ask John Spreet to give his evidence regarding the Larch Lane Farms appeal.
Sure. So I can speak to how I assess the property. Historically, under the old report, the 1970 report, the property of Large Lanes Farms was assessed a benefit rate of 48%. So we speak of benefit and outlet. Benefit is having the drain on your property. Under the Drainage Act, that's considered a benefit. So we assessed it. Previously, they were assessed at a benefit rate of 48%. Now, under this report, we have increased that benefit rate slightly, but more in tune with benefit rates these days. We assess them a benefit rate of 55% for their length of the drain on their farm. So that is shown in on page 10 under the property with a 1-088 roll number of $76,410. We're also assessing them outlet of $5,199, which is their contribution to it. So we're assessing them a much lower outlet rate. You know, I should point out that through that property, our costs per meter are a lot higher to install the drain. We had a preliminary meeting and we had it with a concrete tile, but we were instructed to not remove any trees. So we've tried to request that as much as possible. And we put a plastic pipe in through that property, a sealed pipe. So that's added a fair amount of cost to that section, which increases the assessment on that property. Because we went to a 600 millimeter HDP pipe, which, you know, is $132 a meter versus a concrete tile, which is about $61 a meter. Plus there's more installation costs on a plastic pipe versus a concrete tile. So that's sort of a summary of the assessments. I know Mr. Dealman is speaking in terms of net assessments, which really we don't adjust net assessments, we adjust total assessments. The grant comes off after that, and then there's allowances. Nobody's appealed the allowances, so I'm assuming they're fine at this point. But, you know, that's how we came up with the assessment. We assessed him a 55% benefit rate. He has another farm further upstream in the watershed under Larch Lake Farms, and they're assessed more outlet. You can see that they're paying about $7,100. Sorry, I'm reading the wrong line. They're paying about $3,115, and that's pure outlet. There's no construction at the top. The water comes down through the drain. Are there any questions?
I would ask Mr. Dealman of Larch Lane Farms orally make a case for why their land was improperly assessed to the court. Do you want to come up closer, Corinne? Find a, just so we can hear you.
Yeah, you can take my chair.
I don't know if they can hear me anyway.
You can take my chair.
Thanks.
No problem. Sorry.
Well, as everybody here knows that in my letter it states that the drain that I do have, or the Lucas drain that's in there, is very adequate for our land. So I feel that there is no need for me to pay another $50,000. And there is absolutely no benefit to Large Lane Farms whatsoever. I have not even bothered including the personally owned farm, which is next to it. I thought I could pull that in the appeal as well. It's in the same drainage area. So I don't think it's fair that I have to pay that much more for somebody else's perceived problem. Because here on the note that I got from Spreet and Associates, on page 1 at the bottom, it says, the other landowners in attendance indicated that the drain appears to have sufficient capacity, especially in the area around Walnut Line.
I can answer that quite the origin. That's a typo. It's a typographical error. You see further in the report, it says that, you know, the drain has insufficient capacity. It's got a 6 millimeter drain. I'm happy to revise the report to change that one line, I can do that, but I don't know if that's gonna end this appeal or not, but I'm happy to do that.
So are there any other errors or omissions in your
I
report?
don't believe so.
Anything further, Corinne?
No, that's about all I can say about it. I don't need a new drain at all. So that's about it.
Okay, I'm gonna give
And I
our
would
engineer a
like-
chance. Sorry.
Sorry to interrupt. I would appreciate that council, looks favorably on my request to reduce the cost to large lane farms.
Okay, I'll give our engineer a chance to speak to anything that Mr. Dealman has raised.
I think he's made his point. Unfortunately, under the Drainage Act, when you have a drain that goes through your property, whether you like it or not, there's benefit assessed to it. And that's, whether you're signing or not, you are assessed benefit. If you have the drain going through your lands, that's an increase. The existing drain is a 6 millimeter or 7 millimeter design, and this is 38 millimeter design. So under the act, there's benefit assessed to that. And follow the way the act works.
Anything further?
Well, that's what the act says, but the reality is different.
Okay, this being a court of revision, the members will retire to deliberate on the appeal. So we can do that. We'll just use the office area here.
Excuse me, do I get to say anything in accordance to this, or like how things have gone, or should I have filed an appeal first?
Well, you haven't to this point then
Okay.
filed an appeal, correct?
Right,
Yeah. Do you wish to do so?
no, I just wanted to make note of why I'm asking, like I started the drain,
Yeah,
and I have pictures of why I'm asking to increase the size of the drain or replace the existing drain.
hmm
I don't know if the council's interested in seeing any of that, or,
we could, but at this point, you're not prepared to file a late appeal.
no.
Okay,
Okay, I didn't realize how this all,
yeah, no, it's understandable. And we could still look at an appeal if you were interested, but
not really.
I think we'll deal with the appeal that's before us right now.
Oh, nope, that's all I needed to know.
Members?
See what they say.
What?
See what they say.
Yep.
No, no.
I didn't grease anybody's hand.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, I was surprised. Spot. They just go.
Next thing you put all in there, and sometimes they start.
Just turn the microphone off.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Steady.
It's just so that people don't have to listen to this conversation.
After hearing all appeals, this Court of Revision has made a decision to deny the appeal and adopt the schedule of assessment presented by the engineer in the Lucas Drain reported date July 31, 2023. And I'll just try and clarify that a little bit. We have a Drainage Act that's been longstanding, and it's our guideline on how we deal with these matters. And that's the reason we are denying the appeal. We're following the Drainage Act, which we always do. Okay.
I understand, disappointed, but thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. You have the resolution ready?
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the Court of Revision adopts the assessment for the Lucas Drain as presented in the July 31st, 2023 engineer's report. All in favor? And that's carried.
If dissatisfied with the decisions of the Court of Revision, which were pronounced on this 11th day of October 2023, anyone may appeal this decision to the Agricultural, Food and Rural Affairs Tribunal by filing notice of appeal with the clerk of the municipality within 21 days of the date of this decision. A written notice of the decision of this Court of Revision will be mailed to the affected property owners. Now adjourn this meeting. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Dreyfus, that the meeting of the Court of Revision for the Lucas Drain closes at 5:40 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried. And moved by Drouillard, seconded by Pemberton, that the regular meeting of the council reconvenes at 5:41 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
Good.
We're good. You're welcome to stay around. This is pretty exciting stuff, but you haven't got anything better to do tonight, have you?
I was thankful it was kind of a dreary day, that's for sure.
Okay.
We do have some very good date nights, but this isn't gonna be one.
Thanks, everyone, for attending.
My feelings are hurt. My report comes up every month.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. It's a riveting report.
Night, John. Okay. We'll carry on. Does anybody need a break? No? Okay. You gotta go grocery shopping, so we'll keep marching along.
We got Jason on the line too.
Item 9 is our CAO Treasurer's Report, and it's the CCTV Sanitary Collection System RFP results.
Right.
Tracy, please.
So, last council meeting, I brought a report, to council saying I would like an emergency capital job approved to get our system CCTV'd. And I've got Jason Johnson from Dillon on the line with us he's kind of been working with me and, you can ask him any questions because as I say, I'm not an engineer. I do the best I can, but.
Okay, Jason, do you want to speak to this issue right off the get-go here?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Tracy. So, yes, my name's Jason Johnson. I work with Dillon Consulting in our London office and been working with Tracy a little bit on some of the apparent issues, I guess, with the existing sanitary collection system and some of the basement flooding that's happened in the recent months. And so basically, I think part of the issue or the main reason for the backups is that the existing system is experiencing I&I, which is inflow and infiltration, meaning that basically rainwater is getting into your sanitary collection system and it's not designed to carry or have capacity for those flows. So the only way, essentially, or the best way, I should say, to determine and evaluate existing conditions and if there are any issues is to complete CCTV of the existing collection system. So we did go out and seek 3 quotes from 3 local contractors. The 3 contractors that submitted quotes were Badger Hydrovac, Sewer Technologies, and Wessick. Their quotes included initial flushing of the sanitary sewers, followed by a CCTV inspection of all gravity sewers 200 millimeters and larger. So the majority of the gravity sewer in your system is 200 millimeter or 8-inch, and there's a little bit of 250, which is 10-inch. The quotes in ascending order, excluding taxes, were $49,500 for Sewer Technologies, $66,936.62 from Wessick, and the third quote from Badger was $98,402.36. All 3 contractors provided an estimated start date. Essentially, the low bid from Sewer Technologies, they're able to start within a week of being awarded the project, if awarded. And so based on them being the low bid and their ability to mobilize to complete the work within a week or so, my recommendation is that the work be awarded to Sewer Technologies.
Okay, does council have any questions of Jason? Councillor Pemberton.
Hey, Jason. Yeah, I just have one question. Like, there seems to be quite a broad range in these quotes. Are we comparing apples to apples when we're looking at these quotes, or is there something I'm missing?
No, we are comparing apples to apples, and Badgers was actually quite a bit higher because initially when we provided the report of the summary of your collection system, it included some 4-inch and 6-inch as well, but I've since then determined that 4-inch and 6-inch is force mains within your collection system, which we can't CCTV. So I guess I did revise their total price to kind of take that out, so that we were comparing apples to apples. They had already provided their quote at the time I figured that out, but when I talked to Sewer Technologies in Wessex, I did have them, they were bidding, like I said, apples to apples, the same linear quantity. I guess, yeah, it's hard to say why there's such a variation in the quotes. We see it in normal civil contracting work. I guess it depends on whether they're busy and how hungry they are for the work. And I'm guessing Sewer Technologies must have had a crew available. I would guess this is probably a couple weeks worth of work for them to CCTV the entire collection system. So I'm thinking they might have had a crew available that wasn't busy, and this was an opportunity for them to get in, and they gave a good price, and yeah,
No, okay, thank you.
no problem.
Jason, are you familiar with these companies? Have you worked with them in the past?
I have actually. Sewer Technologies actually did the exact same thing for the township of Lukenbadolf, and I represent them as their engineer. And I think we went through this same process maybe 4 years ago, just before the pandemic. And Sewer Technologies was good to work with. Their reporting was good. The guys were good on site. They did the work based on the schedule that they had committed to. So no concerns with Sewer Technologies. I've worked with Badger an awful lot in the city of London as well. I was surprised they came in so high. Wessick, I have less experience with, but I have worked with them a couple of times. They've done some work in Northern Ontario for us for First Nations. They're based in the GTA though. And Sewer Technologies, I think, is in Port Elgin. They're relatively local.
Thank you. Anything further from council? Tracy, do you want to speak at all to that?
Nope, I'm good. I think
Okay.
Jason's sick of hearing my voice.
No.
No, we're not. Okay, I think we're ready for the question. Clerk Tara.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report from the CAO treasurer titled CCTV Sanitary Collection System RFP Results dated October 11th, 2023 for information, and that council authorize the award of the CCTV of the sanitary collection system to Sewer Technologies Incorporated at the total bid of $49,500 excluding taxes, and that the cost be funded from the sewer reserve. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you, and thank you, Jason.
Okay, thank you. If there's nothing else required, I'll sign off then.
I'm sure Tracy will be calling you.
Okay, not a problem, not a problem. Take care. Enjoy your evening.
Bye now.
Bye now.
Okay. I note there was no comments when we dealt with the wastewater report from Archie, or should I say his
Thank goodness we're not.
his weather report?
His weather report.
Okay, item 10, other staff reports, and I believe Clerk Tara, you're dealing with A, zoning bylaw amendment.
We had, you have Tracy. Tracy is
Oh,
online.
okay. Oh, I didn't see it, Tracy. Sorry about that. You want to speak to that zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 1/23 housekeeping municipality of Dutton Dunwich?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the members of council. So our current zoning bylaw is, a year old, or a little over a year old. It was approved in May of 2022. From time to time, the chief building official and myself run into situations where we think we could get some better clarity, help improve the interpretation of certain regulations. So we wanted to keep it up. It's a living document, and we wanted to keep up with any requirements that have been changed through provincial legislation as well. So staff are asking council to initiate a municipally driven zoning bylaw amendment. So there's no decision being made this evening. We're just asking you to authorize us to go ahead and schedule a public meeting. So we'll put an advertisement in the newspaper because that's a Planning Act requirement. We'll also put everything on the town website and on social media. There aren't any particular properties. This applies to the entire municipality. So we don't mail out to every individual property owner. We just try to get out through as much media as possible. So we're open for any additional comments or suggestions to any of the proposed changes. I provided you with a red line version of the draft that the CBO and I are thinking of making changes of, just some minor tweaking. There's a few miscellaneous items, like making sure that it's clear that you can't use a mobile home for an accessory use. Now that we're getting more development forward, we're starting to see a little bit more need for clarity for semi-detached dwellings, townhomes, and multiple dwellings. So we're just refining the definitions to make it very clear in the VR1 and VR2 zone. One of the major changes is the additional residential units. As you're aware, the Planning Act changed and required that urban lands now be given 3 units per parcel of land as of right. So we've taken the existing ARUs, we already had them permitted across the board, and we tried to split it so that now we can just dealing with the urban lands, and then we created a modified version for the rural lands in anticipation of the new PPS, because it's also promoting some criteria for rural ARUs, mainly being that it should be close to the cluster of existing buildings, which is really just good planning. The one thing that we did want to add that isn't there right now is we have urban, we have rural, but we also have these sort of secondary settlement areas like the hamlets of Iona and Wildstone. So we're gonna add a little bit more wording in there because they're urban lands, but they're on sewers that are partially serviced, right? They're septic systems, but municipal water. So we're gonna add some additional wording there to help clear that up. But what we're just asking is that we'll go ahead and we'll consider these minor. It's called the housekeeping amendment. And we'll report back to council. We'll have the public meeting and then we'll come back to council after that with a separate report. We'll summarize all the comments we get at the public meeting, and then we'll also summarize if we make any additional changes. There might be some mapping changes, some mapping errors. We're working with the GIS through Malahide just to confirm that all our mapping is up to date. We may actually have some mapping changes, but we haven't identified anything right now. So happy to answer any questions that council might have at this time.
Council have any questions? Councillor Pemberton.
Hey, Tracy. So yeah, I just had some questions about the ADUs or ARUs, whatever you want to call them now. Your rural ADU or ARUs, you're looking at capping them to 100 meters squared. That's only like 1,080 square foot type building, and we do have some larger lots within the villages, right? So I just wondered if we could revisit that and either look at keeping it to, like, our zoning bylaw right now restricts to 10% accessory structure within that property. Could we not look at something, keeping it similar to that it's 10% of the property instead of a maximum meter squared?
It's through you, Mr. Mayor. Right now, the Planning Act says is that you can't have any minimums. So we are not allowed to discuss minimum requirement, and then the Ontario Building Code does regulate minimum square footage. We don't have to regulate maximum. We can let the normal lot coverage allow for that. So now what you had quoted was the maximum gross floor area is 100 square meters. That was for urban. And in the rural area, what we've said is that we've limited the maximum to 60% of the existing lot coverage of the primary dwelling. So essentially, in an urban area, we are still treating it as accessory structure, but only to a maximum of 100 square meters.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I think the 100 meters is too small.
Okay.
I think if you're gonna set a maximum, I think, or at least in my opinion, we could stick with either the 10% accessory structure lot coverage rule, or if you had to set a maximum, maybe 150 meters squared, because then you get up into like a 1,560 square foot building, right? So you could have like a 2-bedroom apartment versus 1,000 square foot. And you brought up the rural as well. In your rural one, it looks to me like the 60%, I have no problem with the 60% or anything else. I just wonder if the wording couldn't be such that, let's say, for an example, there was 1,000 square foot existing dwelling, they could build the second dwelling as the primary dwelling. So it doesn't necessarily matter which comes first, the primary or secondary, as long as it meets those number restrictions. So if you had that 1,000 square foot, if you wanted to build a 2,500 square foot primary home, and again, those numbers might be a little skewed, but I don't think it should matter which one's primary and secondary, as long as they meet the numbers and fit within the cluster and everything else.
Okay, so let us, as administration, review that a little bit further.
Okay, no, that's, other than that, everything else looked good.
Anything else from council? This will be a process then, Tracy, and we could add further comments as we move this along.
Yes, that's correct. You could send any comments directly to me, or we can discuss them at the public meeting.
On a side note, where is the PPS 2023 that I was told was coming in September?
Sure, you, Mr. Mayor. I've been asking that question as well. None of my planning colleagues have heard anything about it. It was supposed to have been approved in September. So nothing, haven't seen anything come through.
Okay. You'll let us know.
Absolutely, right away.
Thank you, Tracy. So are we okay with that?
Yeah, no, it was just my comments.
Yep. Yep, and we'll keep adding our comments. Okay, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the planner titled zoning bylaw amendment ZBA 1/23 housekeeping municipality of Dutton Dunwich dated October 11th, 2023 for information, and that administration be directed to schedule the required public meeting. All in favor? And that's carried.
Thank you. And our next item is our cemeteries update report, October 2023. You're in the hot seat, Leslie.
I feel like after I read my report, I should be in the hot seat. I'm like, makes sense.
Well, everybody has seen the report. Is there anything you'd like to add on top of that?
Really, I don't have anything to add, but I thought after that it's not, oh, you want the PowerPoint picture?
Okay.
No, yeah. Oh,
No.
sorry. After I read it, I was like, okay, I don't know if it's clear as mud for you guys. Sort of what the process is, what I'm going through.
Any questions from council?
Could you maybe enlighten me as to your process so I understand it a bit better?
Okay, so, basically when I took over the cemetery, you guys had, records, but nothing matched. Nothing was cohesive. One piece didn't necessarily match another piece. Tara had at one point, as a summer student, I think, Tara, right? Done a stone transcription. So I started working from that, the Dutton Advance and, the vital statistics, so the death registry, working forward, trying to find everyone who was buried at Fairview Cemetery. And I got from the Elton County Archives, your original deeds, which they had a copy of the original book, and your original, their bill sheets that look like for their care and maintenance. Just show you. So we're all talking about the same thing. So these are your account books. So they had who the original owner was, whether your perpetual care and maintenance was paid, which is important, and the purchase date, and if it transferred. So if it's written on the side here, I figured out that it has switched hands. So the name up here is not the first owner. Okay, so then what I did was I pulled all the pieces of information that I found together, and I made individual charts for each plot in the cemetery of who should be in there. These cards I found in the jail in a little box, and so they have to match what's here. And then I have taken the death registry, and as I've gone along year by year, made sure that who I've got in these years match who's on the death registry. And it's not all there. I have a lot of extras and missing a few.
I did note in your notes here that you have up to 1,000 more to, or like there's more to account for yet.
So there's about 100 more plots that I need to go through and say, like, there's one person missing. It says there's an interment. I go out to the ground and I'm saying there's an interment. We don't know who it is. So I've doing a lot of genealogy research, then looking to see like, okay, who is this family? Who connects to them? Why would they have purchased at this time? Who would they have put in there? Like, who potentially could that be? Maybe in my list that I've already got of, I don't know where they're buried, or is it somebody new? I hate when it's somebody new.
This is my stack of, I don't know where they're buried. Yet. Yet, I say.
Is that just for Fairview or is that?
That's just for Fairview. I'm not mixing blacks and McKillops in with
Yeah.
those.
I'm sure you're gonna find that those records are even less existent than Fairview.
So, we had an interesting burial at McKillops and a little old lady that came with a walker. She has some McKillop records in Toronto. So I'm going to be
Sorry.
meeting with her daughter to collect them from her.
I remember when we got blacks, we got a whole shoebox full of information and that's all that was there. Wow.
Yeah, so basically, as I'm searching Fairview, if I find something that's for blacks or McKillops, I have folders and I'm just, putting them there, keeping track of it so that when I do get to them, we'll add them.
Leslie, have you discovered in your work any potential situations like we had at Fairview where it could have led to the problem? Somebody there that we didn't know about, that kind of thing?
Tons,
Yeah.
tons. Yeah,
So the potential is still there to have a mishap.
oh, absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead, Counselor Drewler.
And in saying that, I knew that was going to be your answer to Mayor Henson's question. But this is not uncommon in older cemeteries, is that correct? It is common?
It is common. It's how you deal with it at the moment, right?
Mhm.
Like, it could have been diverted if you realized when you were digging that you hit somebody, then you
Mhm.
stop and you move.
So this will just help us moving forward,
Forward.
but this is not an uncommon thing to happen
No.
in older cemeteries.
No,
And I
no.
just wanted that to be,
Yeah.
I wanted to get you to say that.
Yeah, it's not uncommon. And it's not uncommon, and I'll say this, cemetery plots are not the gift that keeps on giving. So we do have some plots where they're like his 4 graves and there's 8 people already in them, full burials. So previously, we've had things happen. Yeah, and that's the reality. We'll call them double depths. Hey, being cheap, right?
For one.
It is. Squeeze as many in there.
I know that Tracy or Leslie, you've done a lot of other work and our procedures are now proper. We're doing our own digging and
Reluctantly,
you've
but
trained
they're
everyone
different.
in that procedure, so we've eliminated that risk. There's other things in the cemetery that you're dealing with, housekeeping issues, trees and shrubs that shouldn't be there. So there's been a lot going on.
We actually got a very nice compliment today by email that said that Fairview looks beautiful, which is probably the first one that we've had.
Anything further from council? Okay. Thank you, Leslie.
Thank you.
This is one thing that we don't want to hear from you. We don't want to hear problems at Fairview. And we haven't.
No.
So things are working.
Yeah.
And I was told that McKillop was full, that it was done. Same with blacks. Yeah.
Well, okay, so I got a map from the Elgin County Archives for McKellops. And if the map is correct, it has a whole band outside, 8 graves down the east side, which are 16 by 16, which are empty, and some across the back, which are not sold either. So there's potential there. Blacks, maybe a few, but on the west side of the driveway, but I haven't really got into blacks too much yet. But there'll, maybe some.
Okay. But we really don't want any more internments in McKillop's, do we?
Well, do we want to put something there that's gonna make some money? That's what it's
I don't know.
about, right?
Yeah.
Because you want it to pay for itself.
Yeah, okay. Anything further from council? Thank you, Leslie. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Loveland, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the cemetery administrator titled Cemeteries Update for October 2023, dated October 11th, 2023 for information. All in favor? And that's carried. I didn't.
Yeah, go ahead. I've been attending the meetings. We had a meeting last week, a morning meeting, and so far the committee has raised approximately $75,000. There, and that's basically, through things like what we've donated, what we've committed, and a green lane, and then there's been other financial support coming in, where there's a little subcommittee going on right now to approach the agricultural community and to see if we can raise some funds there. And I think there's been some positive response there so far, that there will be some money raised in that area as well. Really strong committee, doing a great job, looking at a lot of different things when it comes to registration costs, maybe increasing them. They're going to be putting a proposal together for council very soon with their projected numbers for the future, and what that looks like. Because that was my advice to them, is to continue to look at where the potential is coming from. Good responses from outside the community, from Shedden, Highgate, Rodney, West Lorne, because all their baseball programs are sort of failing, and the numbers are down and we're increasing. So it's good for Dutton where we're at right now. So anyway, I got to commend the committee. They're doing a terrific job, and they're not stopping at this point, because they do want that second diamond fixed as well. So that's the objective. So this proposal, they have enough money to start. So they want this, they're going to start taking apart the main diamond now, or as soon as they can get the manpower there. They've got some donated time from Titans that they're going to help as well. Anyway, this is the proposal from Simpson Fencing for the diamond construction. So that's presented here tonight for council to review. So.
Any
Just have one-
other comments, council?
Just one more piece to add. I'm not sure because I didn't get it to you. I just forwarded it to the committee. The music teacher, but she runs the Girls at Bat program, which is funded by the Jays Care Foundation. She was sent something asking for us to apply, well, this committee to apply. So she is willing to work with we don't know whether, because it's the second year of the program of Girls at Bat. So they sent her a specific email, and so she forwarded along to me and said that she would work with the committee. So I've connected those two parties so that they do have a short turnaround date for that. It has to be in by the end of the month. So I'm sure Tara and Charlotte and whomever hear what they need to do for that application, but they were interested in that. So, and there is lots of money in that fund for projects like this.
Just to clarify, did you say it was the Blue Jays
Blue Jays Cares, it's the Field of Dreams, sorry.
Okay.
It is the 2024 Field of Dreams cycle made possibility by TD Bank, and it's through the Blue Jays Cares Foundation.
Yeah, and I know that came up at our last meeting, failed to mention that, but anyway, I appreciate you bringing that up, Councillor Drew Lard, and so I think that our last meeting, I as a council, I think it's important that we let them continue to come to us for support, or not necessarily financial support, but for moral support in the direction that they wish to go, because it's their program. And I'm very strong on that. It's their program. Let them tell us what they need, and then we can make a decision from there. So they're obviously doing a great job. So.
Yeah, and that's exactly why I sent the information, the whole email forwarded straight to the committee so that they could do what they wish. And I'm like, and now I'm out.
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor Loveland.
I just I guess think I was kind of instrumental in getting this on the agenda. If they're gonna start work over there, I think we really need to accept those tenders through the municipality, and also, I mean, it's our facility, and we can get the HST back. So it saves them about $12,000 if they go through our books. So, I mean, I think I'm ready to make a resolution that we approve their tender policies that they did, and also to accept the tenders for the two diamonds and get started at it. I just don't want to see them half built by next May.
Right.
So.
Just for clarity, Deputy Mayor Loveland, you talked about 2 diamonds.
Yeah, they've got 75,000, and I don't have the figures right in front of me, but
Mhm.
maybe Henry does, but I think it was about 110, I think, in total.
Yeah, so I think the objective right now is they want to get the one done, for sure. So I think if we're gonna make a motion, we just move forward with the 1 diamond to start, and then let the fundraising continue. But that would be if you're okay with that,
I don't care one or the other.
Yeah, but I do agree, we should probably, do everything we can to get our HST back and formally put it through our books, so.
So we have 1 quote then, is, we're looking at,
There's another one, isn't it? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I thought they were
I don't
really
have it
good,
in front of me.
Yeah.
but yeah.
I have one of Simpson's.
Yeah, Simpson was the low one,
Oh,
but they did have another one.
okay.
Say, could you remember?
Yeah, they did have 2, but I was only provided with 1, and that's the one that they want to choose. So
Okay, but we could get a copy of that one, just like our procurement policy.
Yeah, we need to have that for our procurement.
I can.
Get that second one?
Yep.
Yeah, I can arrange to get the second quote, and at least we'll have it for our procurement policy, yeah.
So legally, we can go ahead and accept this tender then, Clerk Tara? Are you comfortable with that?
I have our resolution as we're supporting their decision for the choice of Simpsons. I can read it and you guys can
Okay.
choose.
Let's deal with the question. Go ahead.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the decision of the Baseball Diamond Committee choosing Simpsons Fence London Limited to install a new backstop and dugouts for a total amount of $62,821.15. All in favor?
Was that the lowest bid? You said you saw, so that falls along with our
By-
procurement policy, it would have been the one we would accept.
It was lowest by a long shot.
Yeah, yeah.
And well, and also, just let me add to that, the Simpsons Fencing does this sort of thing where the other company, it was sort of outside of their world. So they could do it, but it wasn't their thing.
Just to keep clarity, get a copy of the other one, so we've got it here. The council's not off on a tangent somewhere.
And that's carried.
Thank you. Okay. I'm excited about that. Okay, any announcements? Get caught up here. I have two quick ones, and one was the ceremony for OPP today that I was invited to and glad to go, and Councillor Drulard was there. I just sat in a chair. She had much on her hands. It was a great event, and they brought the grade 1 and 2s from Dutton Public School to sing the anthem. And they do a great job. I say sometimes it's dealing with that many kids, it's like herding chickens. They were well behaved, did a great job on the anthem, and made me feel proud. It was a great event, and I had a chance to talk to a lot of OPP, and I've long lobbied for more police presence in Dutton Dunwich. This morning I got my wish. I've never seen so many police vehicles in my life. There was 300 people sitting there. I think there was more than 300 people. The yard, even the soccer field was covered with cars. So just a great event, and it showcased Dutton Dunwich. And the one, he's the deputy commissioner, lives on Leach Street. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is great. He walked to the ceremony, and his neighbor happens to be our fire chief, Colin Chewell. So that's good. And one of the conversations they had was the OPP station on the corner of Pioneer and Curry, which I had an opportunity. They fought for it, but they have it for another year, and they got to keep fighting to keep this thing. So my comment was, if it ever gets in jeopardy, you need to talk to the municipality. We can certainly help out or take that property off your hands real fast. So it was positive. It was a good event. The next thing I want to talk to you about at Elgin County Council, they've taken the initiative, because of the growth that we're seeing, we're going to take a regional approach. So Carolyn Cron will be reaching out to staff, and she will come, and maybe Don Shropshire as well. And they've put together somewhat of a committee to not just look at what Central Elgin's got to deal with, but we're going to look at it from a regional perspective. What growth, and down to, do you want growth? What type of growth? And look at it at a county. So that's going to be coming very soon. They've got a tight time frame on this thing. So I'm excited about that as well. And Carolyn will come and fill everybody in on what that work is being done. I think a lot of good could come out of that. And that's all I have for announcements.
Speaking of Carolyn, there's also a economic development committee that Henry and I are on, where they're going to be supporting the existing stores, which might be run over with what's coming. So they will be coming out and talking to store owners and things like that. So.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dreyfus.
I'll just add to the economic development portion, we're working hard on the community improvement plan. It's progressing really nicely, and every month there's we had to cancel our last meeting because we had a lot of people away. So we're a little step behind, but we're progressing nicely in the approach. Myself, I have been working hard, trying to bring people together and obviously promoting the overall community improvement. And so we're starting to see little headway with the Elgin Incentive Program that came out, and we've had a few people take advantage of that to this point. So I've also connected with the St. Thomas Economic Development people, and there's a lot of good connections we can make there because they're seeing spin-off in the rural communities that can benefit all of us when it comes to the market, comes to small business. So I think there's a lot of opportunities working with Elgin County Economic Development and Tourism and our community. And I'll just say this, that St. Thomas is, and this is hats off to Dutton Dunwich, is very proud of what we're doing here. we're leading Elgin County in our development when it comes to economic development and commitment to making some changes in our own community. And so I think fostering those relationships is very important, and it only benefits all of us in the long term. And I think it's really going to pay off in spades in time. So we just got to be patient and work through the process. So I'm thankful for the staff we have because they're all on board for through this whole process, and it's working really well. So
We can already see the results on Main Street here. Councillor Dreyfus.
yeah, coming.
Yeah, well, no,
Thank
you
you.
noticed the change already, so
Thank
there's a
you.
lot of good
Yeah.
things happening out there. And thank you for all that work. Okay, any other announcements? No. We're down to proposed bylaws. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that bylaw 2023-51 being a bylaw to borrow on the credit of the corporation in the amount of $142,000 for the improvement of the Leach McCann drain be read a third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Head down.
Just on a personal note, cleaning out my dad's house, and he had a blood pressure. He had two machines, one that goes on your arm and one that's just a wristband. And I tried it on and it actually works. I forgot, but I was gonna bring it in for our surgery. When numbers like that come in, I'm quite concerned about it, so. Look at.
That's a good one compared to what's McCombin.
Okay, moving on, we are heading for closed. Clerk Tara, please.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drewlart, that the council for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich now moves into a session of the meeting that shall be closed to the public at 6:25 PM in accordance with section 2392 of the Municipal Act SO 2001, chapter 25 for discussion of the following matters. Labor relations or employee negotiations, section 2392D of the Municipal Act, cemetery and records. All in favor? And that's carried.
Can you let us know when you got her locked down?
Alright, so for confirm the proceedings, I have moved by Loveland, seconded by Dreyfus, that bylaw 2023-63 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, future meetings are there. Please aware of them. Anything further? We all talked out. Adjournment, please, Clerk Tara.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich closes at 17:18 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.